Not every rise and fall in your business process data results is a reason to celebrate or to panic. Let me explain why. In this video, I'm going to tell you how statistical control charts can help you manage your business processes to ensure that you're meeting your customer expectations and delivering capable and stable processes, that you're not chasing shadows, that you're actually leading with clarity. If you're a business owner or business leader or a CI team leader, then you know the value of being able to see how your processes are behaving over time. I see data being analyzed and looked at over time constantly in line graphs. A statistical control chart takes a line graph to the next level. What is a statistical control chart or a control chart? It's simply a visual representation of your business processes behavior over time. On the y-axis, we have what's the most critical component that you're trying to measure. Could be labor, could be defects, could be revenue, could be the number of pieces per minute, per hour, per day, per month. Whatever that is important to the business, that's on your y-axis. On your x-axis is the timeline. And so that could be minutes, could be hours, could be days, months, weeks, years, and so on. And so we have this. And what happens, of course, is you plotting this data over a period of time. And that's traditionally how we see leaders use that sort of information. They plot it on a line graph and they connect each dot and they look for trends going up, trends for going down, and so on. Sometimes they'll put a target line on there, which is exceptionally important. I'll talk more about that in just a second. But what a control chart does is it allows you to see your business processes and whether your business processes are stable. Now, what does it mean by stable? On your line graph, when you plot an average and you plot upper and lower control limits, now that's what a control chart does. It charts upper and lower control limits. Our process is predictable, stable. 99.7% of the time, we're going to see our data fall within these two upper and lower control limits. Why is that important? Because one, we need to know whether or not that variation is acceptable or whether we want it tighter. So do we want to reduce the variation or not? We also want to be able to overlay customer expectations. These are what we call specification limits. This is your business target. And usually your business target is a result of customers' specification that they told you they want something delivered in a certain period of time. They want something to be able to read a certain standard, or the voice of the business process owner. So whoever owns the business process will look at what the customers are looking for or look at what they want to offer in the way of the service, and they'll use that as a target. When you overlay your target to your upper and lower control limits, now you're looking to be able to see whether your process is capable and stable. Very important we do that. It helps you separate noise from true signals that need to be addressed. Now, when I look at a business process and I see upper and lower control limits, first thing I ask myself is the variation too wide, right? Is this process got too much variability? Because that's what I can expect. And I see it time and time again. Business leaders will respond when a data point falls or another data point goes up. They'll either celebrate or panic. And if they panic, what they actually do is create more variation into their business process by doing that. And they shouldn't panic because that variation is natural. Variation in a business process is natural. What the question you need to ask is, how much variation are we willing to accept? Because that's what we need to do, tighten up our variation. Now, let's assume for a moment that 99.7% of the time, that variation is where we're comfortable with that. Anything outside of that is what we call special cause. And now when something happens in a special cause, we need to ask ourselves, do I need to address that or not? Here's my general rule for whether to do that or not. If it's within the ability of a business process to be able to influence that data point, then I want to do something about it. If it's something that's outside of our control, maybe it's a weather event that caused me to have some sort of delay, power outage or whatever, I need to say to myself, okay, is that something I want to address? Or is that so rare and so random that I simply need to think about how do I mitigate the impact of that particular data point? Let's just say it's a weather event, right? And it only happens once in a blue moon. We need to ask ourselves, do I need to change my entire business process because of that? No, you don't. What you need to do is assess the risk associated. That all too often, I see the leaders respond to data points that are outside of the control limits, and they shouldn't be doing that. They should be assessing whether it's the right thing to be doing or not. Let's make sure that we understand stability needs to come before capability. And what do I mean by that? Once we have a stable process, now we can overlay those customer targets. I have a specification limit. I want to make sure my business process and all the variability of my business process is below my specification limit, or between if I have two specification limits, an upper and a lower specification limit. When my control limits are above or below my specification limits, I run the risk of not being able to meet my customers' expectations. That's the problem. That's why we need to control the variation of our business process inside of my targeted specification limits by my customer. It's important. You can't improve an unstable process. Stability comes before capability. So just remember that. Stability comes before capability. Make a process stable, then make it capable. We'll talk more about that in a future video. So how can you use this as a leader's tool? Well, first of all, it helps you understand when to react and not react. So you're not leading by gut, you're leading by data. You're leading by the fact that you know when it's time to react and not react. What specifically needs to be focused on. These can be a conversation starter with your front line, with your leadership, with your team. You can show the control chart and you can talk about the data as it's performing in relation to capable and stable processes. It's a great tool to be able to help you coach your team, and you'll be able to use this. Is our variation too high? How do we reduce the variation? Maybe that becomes a topic of discussion. Do we need to be able to understand the special causes that are inside or outside of our specification limits as it relates to customer expectations and our control limits? Am I setting unrealistic targets? If I've set a realistic target and my business process variation is only meeting that 70, 80% of the time, that means that I'm missing it. And if my business process says, hey, based on your natural variation, you're going to miss it, then I need to ask myself, have I set realistic expectations? Focus on reducing the variation in your business process. I hope I've given you something to think about as a business leader, or if you're a CI leader, how you can use control charts to help you manage your business, ensure capable and stable processes that deliver on your customers' expectations. If you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.